the podcast.
I just want a podcast.
Welcome to Vodacom's customer care.
They're like, no, sound like a human.
Welcome to Vodacom's customer care. For sales, press 1. We have so many learned limitations that prohibit us from unlocking our truest potential.
Weza, that guy, Matomane. Welcome to Beyond the Hustle.
Thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me.
Wonderful. So most people know you as a superstar, if we may call it
Hey, man.
a rock star of voiceovers.
Sure.
But there has to be a man behind that. So I just want you to take us through who you are, your background, where all of this started.
Wow. Oh, wow. So Weza is firstborn of the Matomane family, mom and dad from rural Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
Omo, Kofimvaba, those areas. There's a small village there called Mbulu Hill, so that's where they're from. Really humble beginnings. And honestly, if I can say where it started, it started like that, humble beginnings. At some point, my dad was working at what is now known as Metal. Back then it was known as Iskor. He was, started off as a security guard, became an emergency officer. We just had a, small, humble Kasi upbringing.
Yeah.
We were in Masiza, Sebokeng, that's where we learned to walk and talk and so on.
Yeah.
It was at a tumultuous time actually in South Africa, if you think, around 1992, 3, 4, 5. A lot was going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd hear AK-47s outside, we'd have those, big, I don't know if they're called hippos or what those cars are called, those big trucks of the police come and patrol the area because, we had the Inkatha people in the hostels right next to us.
Yeah.
It was a hostile environment, if I can put it that way. But yeah. So that's, part of the beginning. And coming from, a small town, upbringing, you often have big dreams, but then you feel frustrated by the surrounding area, by, the lack of opportunities, by even just your parents not knowing much because they're also from the village, so they can't even dream a big dream for you. Because they don't know all the different options that are even available.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I can say was part of the foundation.
The foundation.
But even in that foundation, my mother was quite ambitious, even in her humble ways. She tried to teach or instill in us, certain values and certain principles, we were at 9 years old selling oranges around the taxi, around the soccer grounds. My dad loved soccer, so he was always playing Kokasi on the soccer fields, but then we were circling the field selling oranges. If it's not oranges, it's cigarettes. Back there was no age restriction of who can sell these things.
Yeah.
But then there was also something interesting. So we had apricots and things along those lines in our yard.
Yeah.
Now at this time we have already moved out of Ekasi, but we would still come every weekend because my dad was playing. So my mom would say, no, pick those apricots, put them in a Tupperware container. When you're back Ekasi and your dad is playing, go into the hostels and into the flats and knock door to door and sell these things for 10 cents each, She wasn't really trying to make us make money, but I think she was trying to teach us a principle of you've got a product. You have to educate your market about it. There are people who don't even know how to, what apricots are, and then you have to teach them. Some of them are going to say, okay, let me taste it first, and then I'll decide if I'm going to buy. And you have to make that decision as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Do I give them this, or do they look like they're not going to buy? So should I waste my time or invest my time in this client? So there were a lot of little lessons we were learning along the journey. Obviously, we were apprehensive at first because we didn't see why she's doing this, the value.
Yeah.
We were thinking, mama, can't we just be like other kids? Why, and she honestly always try to make us believe that we are not like other kids. So don't want to be like other kids, Yeah.
That's a really interesting background. I like to expand more on people's backgrounds, because I can imagine that there are kids still in the area that you grew up in, who don't believe that they can actually make it out of that area.
Yeah.
Who don't believe that there are people like yourself, who are where they are, but they build from where those kids really are.
Yeah.
So these are really incredible stories. And when you talk about selling, I'm thinking, and because I teach people about the principle of making money.
Yeah.
And, we always talk about, earning as a first principle of wealth creation. If you don't know how to earn, you can't create wealth. And earning starts with learning how to put a solution to the marketplace and actually making money. And we have seen a lot of kids, even in our communities. I was raised by middle income parents, and they don't necessarily approve of their kids selling anything. It was a thing of, you can't sell, but we can give you money.
Yeah.
We can give you this. We paid for your school fees. Why are you selling? Are you trying to embarrass us?
Yeah.
And I think that was a bad start, in life, because we didn't learn how to communicate with people, how to convince people, how to find solutions to the marketplace. Even though you are saying that you didn't see it as a value add, but it would have taught you those little principles that I'm sure that today you still apply.
100%. Look, back then, I didn't see it. But as I grew older and I started seeing that those skills are helping me in areas where now I have to sell. Now I have to get on stage and convince people of a concept, an idea. Now I have to get into a boardroom and convince people who don't know us that we are good enough.
Yeah.
And now I could see, why and why those lessons were so valuable back then. Especially, now I can even articulate it better. But back then I'm thinking, these people don't even know what apricots are. Now I have to tell them what, you knock on the door and you say, hey, we're selling. And then they say, what are you selling? Apricots in there. Yeah. And you're like, it's so today there are often times where you have to bring a new product into the market. And you have to educate your customer about it. And the education first, and then the reinforcement, and then convincing them to consider it, and then eventually they'll buy. But back then, that's what I was learning firsthand, 9 years old. Yeah. And today those skills are valuable, and to your point about the middle income parents who felt like you are embarrassing them for wanting to. The interesting thing, if I reflect, I had a middle income mindset as a 9-year-old kid. I'm thinking, Mama, you are embarrassing us, because she would say to my father, no, let's drive to the farms. Let's buy some mealies from the farmers.
Yeah.
Bring them home, boil them. And I'm thinking we're going to eat. I'm like, oh, this is going to be nice. And then after boiling them, then she puts them in buckets. And I'm thinking, what's going on now? Yeah. And then she says, let's go. And I'm thinking, where are we going? Maybe we're going to relatives. Yeah. Then she would drive to the entrance of the mine. And then she would say, stop the car. Then she said, Weza, get out. Me? Why me? She's like, no, get out. You sell them. We'll be back. You guys are going to leave me here. And and there they are. They drive off. And then I'm thinking, yo, Mama is embarrassing me. But then I have to convince myself, first of all, these people don't know me. Second of all, it's not really embarrassing. These people actually want this. You're bringing a need to them, because some of them come and they're starving when they leave the office, or they arrive here and they're about to get into the mine and they're thinking, I forgot my scuff tin, or I just need something quick as a bite. And I conveniently happen to be there. I didn't have to struggle to sell. The sales were just happening. By the time my mom comes back, there's only one left, and she's like, oh, well done. Business went well.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was that apprehension I had in the beginning, that, mama, you embarrassing me. And it's so weird that we have that. It holds us back from achieving so much.
Yeah. No, it does. It seriously does. I can imagine there are still people, at our age who are still struggling to sell because they feel like it's embarrassing. Even when they're hungry, you don't have money to buy food to feed even your kids, but you can't sell because you feel like this is an embarrassing thing. Why would I go out there, stand in front of people and try to convince them to buy something? And I think it's the rejection that really people are scared of. What if they say no? What if they look at me in a certain way? So I'm just wondering, you being in front of people and, we are speaking about someone who's very good at speaking, right? Someone who has a very good voice. Did you know by then that was part of the powerful traits that you had to be able to convince people? Did you believe that your voice had something to do with that?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the interesting thing is we have so many learned limitations that prohibit us from unlocking our truest potential. And I use the words learned limitations on purpose. They are not real limitations. We have learned them and we have learned to think that we are limited. So then we hold ourselves back. What I didn't mention in the beginning is that I also went to an all Afrikaans high school. My primary school was dual medium, but I was in the Afrikaans class. All of this had to do with my mom sending me to school a little bit too late and there not being any space in the English class. But she desperately wanted me to be in the school, so she just put me in the Afrikaans class. But then I never left the Afrikaans class from grade 1 all the way through to matric. Now, what that comes with is you being an only black child in a class, where you are now the minority. It also comes with these kids are kids that were raised by apartheid parents. You understand? Parents who come from the apartheid era. So there are some kids who might even have a little bit of that teaching because these parents didn't even think that their children would interact with black children because now that's why you're in an Afrikaans class, in an Afrikaans school sometimes as well. So, there were times where I'm sitting next to a particular girl. I won't mention her name because maybe today she's someone special. But, back then, she's left-handed, I'm right-handed. So you can imagine these tiny desks, right? And as we're writing, our elbows would sometimes touch. When our elbows touch, she would jump, wipe her elbow, and then continue writing like this time so that she doesn't have to touch me. And so you feel, you're still a youngster. I'm 9 years old at the time. It's grade 4 or so. You feel like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm sorry, I'm black. You feel like you need to shrink yourself and you struggle with confidence and things like that. So when it comes to reading, remember, I'm mostly here. We're reading in Afrikaans and no one at home speaks Afrikaans. I only speak Afrikaans here and I'm still figuring things out. I don't know all of, so then I start learning that I'm not a good reader. No one has, maybe I just haven't given myself a good enough chance because I haven't read in a language that's natural to me. But now I've internalized that and I've said, I'm not a good reader. I also struggle with confidence. I don't like to be in the spotlight, but that's because I was already standing out in a way that seemed negative to these kids. And I was kind of naturally shrinking back, trying to not stand out too much. I'm trying to blend in. That's what I was trying to do in the beginning. And it took me some time, especially now in high school, where I learned, no, man, this thing of you being black is actually a superpower. You shouldn't blend in. Stand out and be great, be counted, be what you've always wanted to be. It needed me to kind of do that inner work to build myself up in that way. I used to go from dreading speaking, dreading reading in class to saying, bring it on, You have to go from wishing no one was in the room when you're doing a speech to like the first level of when I train people in public speaking, I say the first level to unlock some confidence is to forget that there are people in the room so that you can be as confident as you were at home when you were just alone and you were speaking and preparing. And if you can get to that same level by forgetting that there are people in the room and just doing what you were doing, then you've achieved or unlocked level 1. Yeah. But then level 2 is remembering that there are people in the room so that you can look them in the eyes, connect with them and make them feel like even though there's 30,000 of us, everyone feels like you were speaking to them directly. So that needs a lot of inner work for you to get to that level of confidence. So it wasn't always, like that from the get-go. In fact, in those times, as my mom was putting me out there, I was also struggling with some confidence and feeling like I stutter and all of those type of things.
Yeah. When you are in an environment where you are a minority, I always look at, in our country, Botswana, we didn't experience what, South Africans experienced. Maybe we are starting to experience it now. Because there are a lot of business people going there, white people, so we get issues of racism there and there. But we were just a black community, Every once in a while, someone comes from China to set up a business. Every once in a while, someone comes from America to set up a business. And the confidence levels of someone who comes into an area and they look totally different from anyone else, right? The confidence levels are just way too high. And I was imagining, so I've never seen a black guy go into a white community and they're just alone there and they start something. They have the confidence to say, look, I can compete with these people. Right. In most cases, we grow up in black communities and we are used to staying as a majority. So when a white person comes in, we look at them and we're like, maybe this person has some sort of power. That's why they can come into the black community, right? And we don't see ourselves having the same power, to go into different communities and actually conquering. So I think that should have been, it is, one of your advantages. I think it speaks to, where you are right now in life, what you are able to do. I'm sure when you have a crowd or stadium full of white people, you don't feel like these are white people and you are a black person. You just feel like these are people I'm speaking to.
Yes.
And I think that is really special. I've seen you, using different voices, so I just want to ask you this. Today, this voice that you are using,
is it my real voice?
Is it yours?
Is it yours? No, I actually, I rented it. When like, you rented it
for the podcast.
I just want a podcast. How do I answer that? So yes, this is, I think this is my normal voice.
Yeah.
I do, of course, think that I do have the advantage of being able to manipulate the voice depending on what I'm trying to do or the message I'm trying to land. The nice thing about being a voice artist is that you understand the importance of tonality and cadence when it comes to delivering a message. So, if it was a more subtle message that I was trying to deliver, I'll probably speak like this. But that's not the case today, is it? And if it was something more exciting, I'd probably speak like, but that's also not what this is. So those voices are rented. But, so yeah, this is just how I speak.
But really, do you believe that, we are capable, of recreating our voices, or we just have one voice? Because I think you spoke about limiting beliefs, and I'm just wondering, is this my voice? Like what, this voice that I'm using today, is it really my voice, right? Or do I have, different voices? The same way that we can, always change from being a drunkard to becoming a pastor, we can shift because we have capacity to do that. So I'm just wondering, because you teach people how to project their voices, how to have confidence in their voices. And in most cases, you might find that after the training, their voice changes.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think that maybe our voices are created in such a way that when you haven't been trained, you are on level 1, but you can get to Weza level 10, at some point if you are trained?
So that's an interesting question that you are putting there, so even as I would do some of my workshops, some of my students would say, I want my voice to be heard, or I want to find my voice. So there's something there that I want to maybe first zoom out and talk about another place where we just learn to do what, or let me not even say learn, but we are assumed to know what to do. So in grade 1, when it was time to run athletic season, you've never had an athletics anything before. You're a kid, you're 6, you're turning 7. And then the teacher says to you, hey guys, today, everyone, let's go to the field. Take off your shoes, stand in a line. On your marks, get set, go. And then the top 3 gets taken to one side. You guys can run. The rest, go sit on the pavilion. And then they would say, okay, everyone's surname starting with the M in a line. Boom. And then, okay, you 3, you can run. And then they start running the top 3s against each other until they figure out who's the athletics team for the school. And the rest of us, we were just relegated to the pavilion to go cheer for these others, So I was always on the pavilion. But actually, no one taught me how to run first and said, hey, by the way, here's how you run properly. Be front-footed. So stand on your toes, lean forward, and then make sure that your center of gravity shifts from one leg to the other. Swing your arms in this particular way so that you can achieve a top speed. No one does that. They just put you in a line, you run. If you made it, you made it. If you didn't, you didn't. And so then there's so many of us who are actually on the pavilion who have the potential to be on the podium with a little bit of training. But no one takes the time. No one bothers to say, let me spend some time, invest some time in this individual. Maybe we can unlock something here. So think about it. Then Weza in grade 1 was told he can't run because he didn't make it to the top 3. Then grade 2, same thing happens. Then grade 3, in grade 4, when they say all the runners, now they don't do that thing anymore. They just say all the runners at 1 o'clock come to the field. The rest stay in class. I just don't go because I'm not a runner, Mos. I've learned it because of what has happened in the past. No one has taught me how to run yet. I've just learned that I'm not a runner because I've never been chosen for that thing. And how many of us go through life relegating ourselves without giving ourselves a chance, learned helplessness. Someone else said, there's little kids, before the conditioning that adults give them, don't think that there's something they can't do. When you ask an adult, can you play a violin? They'll say, no, I can't. When you ask a little kid, who's 5 years old, he'll say, I don't know, I haven't tried. Yes, that's how you should view it. I don't know. I haven't tried. No one has taught me. I haven't given myself a proper chance to know if I could be good at it or not. No, I don't think I'm good at that. You have not even picked up a violin in your life. You already think you can't do it. You see? So that's that learned helplessness where you've constantly been told you can't do it. So now coming back to the voiceover space. So grade 1 till matric, I was speaking like this. So this is how most of us speak. We speak from our throat. So the louder I have to go, then more not so nice it starts to sound. Then I say, Ntwana, there's no way. I can't sound like that guy. Weza me? Yabona I voice yami so. Dali so Ntwana, and then you think that this is normal. This is just how you speak. So this is me speaking from my throat with no training at all and so on. And then I come to the workshop like this and I say, Weza, I want to speak like you. I watch these TV things and I'm like, one day naming Funbai voice artist. And Weza teaches me to speak from a different place. Instead of speaking from my throat, I learned to speak from my diaphragm. So now I'm speaking from my diaphragm, totally different place. Even if I have to go louder, I can project without sounding so irritating to the ear. And when people learn this, when I play their demo for them the first time, some people just let out tears and they cry. Others jump out for joy and they're so excited because they always had this feeling that they could do this, but they just never had the training, someone to guide them to go from the pavilion to the podium.
And I think, when I imagine a lot of traits that people want to build within themselves, I think speaking is one of the greatest one. I personally struggled a lot at some point. I knew that I could talk sense to people. I could have a group of my friends and we can engage and they can listen to me, because I had I have a lot of information, right? But to stand in front of people, even those friends, right? As long as I'm in the middle somewhere or everyone is sitting, it's okay. I can talk the whole day by myself. But to stand in front of those people and just talk to that group of friends, it was a problem, right? And the first thing, the first limitation is, you start hearing your voice. Like, I don't like this voice. Why do I speak like this, right? And then you beat yourself up to an extent that you just conclude that you can't speak in front of people, right? I think that is the greatest challenge. So I want to know, you started business much, much earlier. And there's always a reason why people start businesses. Personally, I'm in finance. I did finance and I worked for a lot of financial institutions and corporates, and I've seen that a lot of people were struggling with money, more especially black people. They were really struggling with understanding how money is managed, understanding how wealth is really created, right? Sometimes they will know how to make money, but they don't create wealth. So I saw this and I was like, this is a problem, right? I need to go out there and be able to engage with these people and help them find ways of creating real wealth. That was my reason. So I want to know from you, because you've done chemical engineering, right? Mm-hmm. So for someone who's done chemical engineering, you are in the business of media and voice. It seems to be far apart from what you have done in school. So I'm imagining you had a really, really good reason that came from deep within you, why you are doing the business that you are doing today.
Yeah. Wow, there's so much to talk about in what you've just unpacked. How do I even begin? Let me start with the last thing that you said, right? How did I get into doing this, and why chemical engineering even featured in the picture at some point?
Yeah.
So what happened in my case is, you're from this family that's going through a lot financially. We're struggling financially at the time. My dad had lost his job. My mom's trying to make ends meet, doing, her fashion design type of things, whether it is alterations or designing things for people. And it was really touch and go at the time. We were really struggling financially to the point where we lost the house, we lost the cars and so on. And we were renting a garage, and we were living in someone's garage, and we were renting it for like 500 or 800 rand a month. And even that 800 rand a month was tough to put together some months, So every morning you wake up in your garage. That one space is the kitchen, it's the bedroom, it's the dining room, it's where we watch the World Cup, and you sleep on that same spot, that you were watching. And it was really a tough time in life. And during that tough time, I am going to school, with kids whose parents are engineers, doctors, scientists. They dropping off their kids in Range Rovers and BMs and Mercs and things like that. And I just want to have what they have.
Yeah.
And I just want, can I just have a life like this? Yeah. And okay, how do you get what they have? Do what they do. So identify a kid who's coming from a good family that's doing well financially, and he's also doing well he's also doing well academically and in sports and other things. And chances are this kid is going to replicate his parents' results or do better. Because if I identify a kid that's got the same scenario and circumstance as me, then what am I going to learn from him? Yeah. I need to find a kid who's from a good place and who looks like their trajectory is going to the same place or better. Yeah. And I identified this kid. His name was Henny May. So I sat next to Henny in class. I had to hustle sitting next to him also, because the first year you don't get a chance to, because this guy's already sitting there. So you just sit in the proximity. Yeah. But then in a particular year, I got to sit next to him, and I tried to sit next to him in every class. I also tried to befriend him as well. Yeah. And my game plan was, I need to be friends with all the successful people in different spaces so that I can learn what they know. So I had a friend for rugby, because Henny didn't play rugby. So I had a friend for rugby. I had a friend for academics. That's Henny. Then I have to have a friend for debate and so those type of things. I have to have a friend for cultural things, because I needed to be a well-rounded person. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to copy and do what they do so that I can get what they get. So with Henny, I'm sitting in class. Normally I would sit in class like this. Yeah. Like with cause you just, maybe I had a big head. I'm just trying to rest. But anyway, I'm just sitting, but Henny would sit up straight. Yeah. And I'm thinking, why is he sitting up straight? Okay, you know what? Even me, I'm sitting up straight. Then he would play with his pen as he's listening. He would spin the pen like this in a particular way. Now, I couldn't spin the pen quite the way he did, but then I would just do what he's doing. Cause I don't know, what if this pen spinning thing, he's learned something and he's not telling us. Une magic nyana nayo, esingayas. Cause this guy's getting 98, 95, 100 on everything. And I'm thinking, there's no way this guy, you remembered everything. And I'm thinking, no, there's something he's doing that I just have to figure out and learn, and I can get what he's getting. So suddenly the teacher says a particular thing, he pages to exactly where it is, and then he takes out a highlighter and he underlines something. And I'm like, even me, underline, Baba. Because I don't want to get left behind this time. Guess what? I went from being a person who was getting 70s to eventually getting 80s to eventually getting the 90s he was getting as well. And I started achieving it in all the classes that I was sitting next to him in. And I tried to just do more of that. And I went from being a nobody in academics to, at the end of my matric year, the Department of Education were giving gold medals to the top 3 in the district. Henny got a gold medal. And the guy who also got a gold medal, who came in second place, was the guy who was sitting next to Henny. It was me. So I did the same thing with rugby as well. I was in the C team. Sometimes I would play in the B team, but I wanted to not only play in the A team, but to play for the province. And I had this one friend, his name is Gordon Molefe. He was playing in the provincially, and he was playing Craven Week twice when he was 12 and when he was 13. He was headhunted to come to the school. They're paying his school fees and all these things. And I was like, wow, we are struggling financially, but I still have to get school fees. But this guy, he doesn't have to pay school fees because they bought him. The school bought him. He's here mahala, and he's living a nice life, and it's all because he's good with this rugby thing. So I'm like, how can I be as good as him, man? Befriend him. Figure out what he's doing. Ask him to watch my games. Tell me what to do. I would watch his games. And he started giving me tips when we are running. And it's time to exercise, with the team. I normally, after some time, would drop back because I'm not a good runner. So I was told and taught, and so on. But now I'm trying so hard to keep up with Gordon, man. But he's like this naturally fit, built guy. And I'm just like a bit of a sexy chubby nigga. But I want to play his position. I want to be as good as he is. But if you want what they have, you gotta have to do what they do, even if it's hard in the beginning. But if you can keep up, eventually you will get there. So here I am trying to keep up. I drop back, and Tsepo and Gordon now are running in front of me. But fortunately, because they're running ahead of me, it gives me a chance to study their body. And I'm like, oh, look at their feet. I dropped the whole foot they are front footed. Okay, let me change that. Look at how they swing their arms. I'm like, good. And they're like, shwa, shwa. I'm like, okay, no, man, let me be like a Woolworths trolley now. I mean, and just, smooth and be smooth, because I was actually dispensing so much energy with the wrong movements and so on. So I'd learned a little bit of that, and I gradually got better. I didn't only play for the A team. I went on to eventually play for the province twice. Played against, in the same tournament in the Craven Week with Sia Kolisi, Eben Etzebeth, Faf de Klerk, Pieter Steff de Toy. Those guys, we were literally sharing the field. So it was amazing that a guy from the C team could also be that. And all of this comes down to find the people that are doing what you're doing and learn to do what they do so that you can eventually get their results. So that's what I kind of learned. But now the problem was, and this is why I even brought this up in the first place. Now, Henny's dream was chemical engineering. That's not really my dream, but I just want what they have. Yeah. So I pick the last taxi in the taxi rank. But mara it's going to be better than staying here. Now. Yeah. And you get onto that chemical engineering taxi because it's got a promise of a good destination. It's a good destination for these people because they know that that's where they want to go. They know when they get there, they will have arrived home. But now I was far, but I was far from me. Because chemical engineering is great. It's just not my passion. Yeah.
Wow. I love that story. I'm actually going to give it to my kids to recite it. So I always tell my kids when they're struggling with the subject, right? Because I made a lot of errors when I was at school, right? I was moving with the cool kids. And, within the cool kids, in our normal schools, normally it's average or below average type of grades.
Yeah.
So those are the kids that I was rolling with. So I always tell my kids, if you're struggling with the subject, you can make all sorts of excuses that it's tough, it's hard, but is there someone who's killing it in class? If there's someone who's killing it in class, befriend that person.
Yes.
You will get better at that subject.
100%.
Yeah, because I used to be really bad in math. And at some point, there was a guy who was really good at math. He wasn't really close to me, but we were in the same class. So at some point, he had a liking for me. For other subjects, I was really good at them. So he was like, "Have you given up on maths?" It was, I think, 2 weeks before the exams. He was like, "Are you giving up on your math? Because I think you can do this thing. Worst case scenario, you can get a C." At least it will be a pass. You can go to varsity, get a good course. I was like, okay, but I think it's too late, bro. Like, I wasted a whole 2 years. I haven't been studying. I was like, no, don't worry. This is how we're going to do it. So he taught me the simplest way of doing that thing, and I managed to get the C. Actually, I was mad that I got the C because I felt like I was going for the B, going for the A. Yeah. But I got the C, and I realized that I wasted a lot of time with people that believed that maths was a very difficult subject, and I was spending time with them, and I got to believe in that, right? But truth is, everyone was capable, and I was capable because I was not necessarily dumb, if I may say. I was just playful. I was not exercising my brain. I was not, exercising at all. So I love your story. I love your story because it makes a lot of sense. And I'm thinking there are a lot of, young people out there who are riding on, they're riding a wrong bus, and, some of them might not end up like you. Some of them might end up in the destination of the bus. And they might find themselves, sad and miserable, at that place. It doesn't matter whether, they're chemical engineers, they're mining, engineers, they're doctors, they're lawyers. And I think we have a lot of such people in organizations. That's why, our countries are a mess because of people who are doing things that they don't love, and I can imagine you really love what you are doing now. You don't need a lot of evidence. You just need to see 1 or 2 videos of you on stage, you just glow when you are doing this thing. But you are also in business of a craft that you really love, which is something special. right? So I want to get to know the business side of you. When did you decide that you should be doing business?
So the business side of things starts off as you doing a personal service.
Yeah.
Eventually feeling like, okay, I need to legitimize this personal service. And, because now I'm starting to deal with bigger organizations. I remember getting CSIR as a client, and then they saying, okay, we're going to need to put you on the database. Do you have this? I'm like, I don't have all these things. And then they kind of pushed me to quickly legitimize the business, to get all the right paperwork in place and to sign, register with the relevant bodies and authorities and put my things, in order. And I'm still a student at this time, but now I'm already operating like, okay, this is becoming something. I'm doing big things. And honestly, it's weird how small things seem so big to us because of, where we are in life at that particular time, So I'm a student, but I feel like, I have a BEE certificate, tax clearance certificate, a central suppliers database. Yeah. I'm in there, and it felt huge.
Yeah.
Though today it feels like it's the smallest thing you can do before doing the actual business. Yeah. But at the time it felt like it was insurmountable things that I've managed to tick, these boxes. But then, as it goes and you're doing more of it, then you start to realize that there's two things. Firstly, a business allows you to extend your responsibility beyond just yourself. You become a solution to others as well, because they are first of all solutions you are solving or solutions you are bringing to the marketplace because of being in business. But then there's also people that you are empowering, employing or training because you are in the space. So you are actually doing the world as disservice by playing small. It's time to level up. And eventually I needed to see that the best business for me now is to create something that extends beyond myself, that I don't have to always be there for the business to actually be in progress. So right now there's a couple of businesses outside of these four walls that are established by me, but they are running because I've got people in place, and it's good that they're there because it means something for them as well and their families. But it also means that I can create something that does not only rely on my talent or my abilities, but now it is a summation of everyone else's talents also kind of working along to achieve that particular result. So yeah, I got started in business firstly just as let me legitimize what I do, whether it's voiceovers or emceeing. When someone says, do you have a business card? Sister, I can just write my number on your phone. But then you grow from that to saying, I need it for more than just me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard you, engaging with one of your students and I think, you were discussing AI. And in that discussion, I think, it was interesting how you responded, to how a voiceover sounded. You did not reject the idea of AI because AI is advancing a lot in the area of voiceovers. But you said something profound. I think you said, the power that you have with your natural voice, maybe not in these words, is to separate yourself from how AI sounds. Right. And I thought that was profound because everyone is talking about it. Everyone is saying, no, AI is coming to take over everything. I just want to know your views, on that, and also how you as a business, are using, AI to advance your projects.
100%. Okay. So I feel like there's two hats that I'm wearing then in that case, because I've got a digital agency and it's called Bluecloud AI. As you can hear, there's AI in it, And in that sense, we want to use the tools, and we want to, use AI, build AI, and to create, solutions for the future. But then in the other sense, being a voice artist and training voice artists, there is the element of some people having an apprehension to AI and feeling like, this thing is here to challenge what we've been doing. It's here to take some of our jobs, and it will take some jobs. No, that's just the truth. There are certain, it's also interesting how the shift has happened. So before AI, there would be briefs that says, sound like a robot. Yeah, because we want to, because a bot was cool, like people saying, I've got this bot. Now I just need someone to make this bot look like it's talking, so they wanted us to sound like machines. If you would listen to the automated machines from back in the day, it would be like, welcome to Vodacom's customer care. For sales, press 1. And they wanted us to sound very monotonous. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like that's literally how they wanted us to speak. Don't end with a high or low inflection. Just sound like you are this the whole time. So that was literally the brief 10 years ago. Today, they're like, no, sound like a human. Sound human. Welcome to Vodacom's customer care. For sales, press 1. For inquiries, press 2. They want you because they're like, there's too many bots and people want connection.
They're not connected.
Like, yes, because what happens now when you get an like a robot call, you drop it immediately. You don't even feel the emotional connection. You feel like it's just noise. And normally advertising or marketing is about becoming the signal, not the noise. So if your messaging has become noise, people reject noise and they only look for the signal. Like you remember those old radios, you pass all the noise to find the signal and then you listen to the signal. So that's marketing. So the robot sounds have become part of noise now because there's just too many of it. So how do you still get gigs? Don't sound like a robot. Sound like a human being. Just go remember and lean into what it is to be a human. Because sometimes when the microphone's in front of you, you want to be poised. You want to sound polished and all of these things. But sometimes that is what takes away the humanness. So all the scripts in America now, the briefs in America, all literally say, human, like sound like a human. They even literally use the words human because they're trying to say laugh, feel, like you must have texture in your voice, ebbs and flows and like the modulation, that the things that make us human sometimes are things that sound like we are making mistakes in our speaking, but you're not doing it deliberately so that you can sound like a human being. Your laughter, sometimes we laugh in our speaking. That's how, you don't go, yes, that was very funny. That's how a machine would do it, but you'd go, yeah, actually, that was funny. That's how a human would do it. So they're like, just be human, please. So it's interesting, the shift. And now being human is our superpower.
That's incredible. Man, you have achieved quite a lot as a young person in business and as an individual. You've done a lot of projects, quite successful projects also. And I think you are really proud of your achievements. But of all the things that you have achieved, what would you say is the most, is one that really speaks to you?
Oh, wow. That is so tough. It is tough to answer because there's different things that speak to me differently. Let me first start with Bluecloud. So, we started a digital marketing agency, and in the first 5 years or first 4 years, we do the Metro FM Awards twice. We are, awarded an opportunity to work on SABC One. And it's a gamble they're taking on a new young black-owned agency just full of youngsters who don't have big names or big trophies or anything, but we achieve remarkable results with them. And we win a Promax Africa award for a camp. And you're thinking, wait, where are the OGs, the guys who have been doing this? Why aren't they winning that award? Sifike njani fast kangaka? And it just shows that, you can be audacious, come into a space feeling like an imposter, like you don't belong here. Why are you even thinking that you even deserve to be here, or that you deserve to even be the one speaking, or and to go into that space with that naivete and still achieve something amazing. And for people like that to believe in you, to give you the chance, we also have Sassel, as a client, and we're doing some amazing things for them to believe that we could do it and to give us the chance to do it. These are gifts, man. These are blessings. And for us to actually go and achieve great results as a result is also just something so special. So that just talks to, the go-getters, the ones that feel like they don't belong, or they are outsiders coming in, or that imposter syndrome that you spoke of in the beginning that tells you why kunabantu abangaka aba qualified. Why you, and to still come out and be an outsider. You come from engineering, man. What you doing here? You're an outsider. What you doing here in voiceovers? You're an outsider. What you doing here in a casting call for Dial Direct? You're an outsider. And to get it and to be on those billboards and to do the things, it's more than just for me. It's for anyone who's also believing, man, I think I can do that. But I still feel like an outsider. And I am hoping that me doing it gives them permission to do it too. Yeah.
There's an artist in Botswana, may he rest in peace. He just passed on this past week. He liked to say, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's all about the people. So in everything that he did, he didn't care what anybody said, whether people said he didn't belong or they didn't understand what he was doing. He was like, look, this ain't about me. It ain't about you. It's all about the people, and people loved that guy. So, I always like it when I speak to people who are immersed in their gift, because I believe that everything that you are going to receive in life, great things that you receive in life, they are going to come from your gifts. I've seen a lot of people who run businesses. Maybe it's an accounting firm. They get awards, and everyone in that accounting firm is doing accounts because they have studied accounts, and they're just doing what they can do, and they're getting some awards. They don't feel any form of achievement still. Right. But when you look at artists, you look at, football players, you look at actors, right? When they get the awards, you can see in their eyes, even after years of winning the awards, you can see that, they are really feeling that they feel like the gift that they are giving people, it's coming back to them. Tenfold, which is the promise that we have been given. And, for someone like you doing what you do, I can imagine that, every time you get that award, even though you might have felt before that maybe I don't belong here, but you know that, what you give people is genuine. It's not something that you can just go and learn. Yes, you enhance it, you keep on giving it value over time, but it's exactly what you were born to give to people, right? It's really special. So someone maybe right now, they're thinking about setting up a business, and I'm sure you meet a lot of people who say, I want to start, how can you guide me? They're thinking of starting a business, young people. I want you to focus on two things. You can have a business, one, because you have learned the art of business. All these big corporates, they have just learned the art of business. They know how to scale and do all that. And then there's also using your abilities, your natural abilities. What would you advise a young person trying to start out?
One thing I've learned is that, firstly, you have to figure out what is the path of least resistance. You know, most of the laws of nature work that way. The path of least resistance, that's the direction that the water is going to flow. It's the direction the electricity is going to go. If I push this cup now, it's the direction it's going to go as well. It's just a natural law, the path of least resistance. And we have been given certain things. You know, we came to this earth having these natural abilities, as you call them. And they are there to assist us in finding our paths of least resistance. Now, it doesn't mean just because it's the path of least resistance, it's not going to have challenges and not going to have things that tell you to turn this way, turn that way, you know, but at least it is going to feel right even as you're doing it. Now, the other thing that we would have learned through life is that we have to go along to get along. You are told, go along with what the teacher says so that you can get to grade 1, to 2, to 3, to 4. And then that habit for 12 years teaches you that you have to go with the crowd, because now for 12 years you've been going with a cohort of people, and you were told that if you fail, you will fall behind these people. Yeah. So now you're so scared to fall behind these people. Every year you're just keeping up, and trying to stay with them. And then comes matric, and then they're now going to scatter. And for the first time, you get this unsettling feeling of, I don't want to get left behind. Okay, everyone's going to varsity, different varsities. Or, okay, let me also go somewhere. And then you find a varsity, you find a new group of people, and you're like, okay, first year, second year, third year, you have to go along to get along, And suddenly you get to the end of that, and people scatter again, and there's a bit of chaos again, and others are like, get a job, otherwise you're gonna fall behind. And we've got this anxiety to keep up with all the time. So that thing is like being in a bus, and you feel safe as long as you are going in a direction with everyone at the same time. And suddenly, when life singles you out and you have to be out of the bus and do your own thing, you get this anxiety, and you want to do what everyone is doing, and you want to feel like I'm doing the right thing. And the real truth is, there's no wrong way. There's no wrong way. You just have to decide where you're going. Where are you going? And then there's a wrong way, because you know where you're going. But if you're just going, Jay, then every street, every corner, every intersection, you can, I can go in any direction because I don't know where I'm going. So I don't know, I'm not late because I don't know, I don't even have a predetermined location and a time to get there. So now you're just free. So it's so important that we establish to ourselves, where do I want to be? And when you've decided where you want to be, then you'll know which roads are the wrong roads. What if, like, you get to an intersection, there's a red light in the direction that you are going, but there's a green light this way. There's an arrow that says this way. Are you going to take it? No. Why not? Because you know where you're going. You're going to wait for that red light to turn green. Yeah. But if you don't know where you're going, you're like, it's red. So let me take this one, take that one. And then those people end up just anywhere because they say, no, I'm just going with the flow. Hey, Baba, you don't just go with the flow. You're going with the flow of traffic. No, if there's a green this way, I'm going this way. You'll end up nowhere, and then you'll get frustrated because you are following others. And Bona, they arrived at home, and they look at you like, when we up? And you're like, I don't know. And then it's like, wow, you're far, but you're far from where you're supposed to.
Yeah. That's the curse of conformity. A lot of people do that.
100%. And why those other people that you mentioned celebrate those little wins is because they took the path of least resistance. They went on the path less traveled. They didn't go on the bus route. They took their own route, and they were worried, scared, and uncertain whether they were going in the right direction because there was no one here to guide and tell them that they're on the right track. And it's a lonely journey. You see, life is not about arriving. It's just about being on track and going in the right direction. That's all you'll ever have. Being on track and going in the right direction. If at least you have a track. And then you will know when you are on track and not on track. And at least you have a direction because you know where you're going. And you'll know when you are no longer going there and you know what to correct and change. But if you don't have a track and you don't know where you're going, then you will never even feel when something is not right for you because you don't know where you're going and you won't feel yourself being off track versus on track. So, life is, you'll never find balance. That's the other thing I say to people when they're like, I'm just trying to find balance. You'll never find balance. Life is not about balance. It's about balancing. It's a balancing act. So what does a balancing person look like? Well, have you seen them walking on those thin ropes or something at the circus or somewhere? They are always self-correcting. You lean a little to this, you lean a little to that. You're always self-correcting. And that's life. You'll always gonna have to make adjustments constantly as you stay on track, going in the right direction.
It's balancing. Don't find the balance.
You'll never find balance if that's what you're looking for. That's why you'll always feel upset. Know that there's no balance. It's balancing.
You need to keep on enjoying the journey. And
100%.
Actually getting to the destination is actually death. When you think about it.
100%.
That's the definition for anyone who's thinking that they need to arrive. They need to
and when you die, we'll talk about your journey. Your obituary is your journey. And all that mattered was your journey and how you made the people feel along the journey.
Wow. Whether, what would be your, I want you to give us your last word, looking at your talent, your achievements, people that you have met, what you have avoided. And there are young people out there who are really trying. And some of them, they believe that they'll never really be able to even get close to where you are. They see you on stage, they can feel it inside that, you know what, I really love to do that. But for some reason, they keep on also saying, but look where I am. I don't think I can ever do that. In business, there are people who are trying out businesses, and we have spoken about that, to try to follow the path of less resistance, which becomes easier. And I think in today's market, because most of us, we join business finding top organizations, well-structured, doing it big in the industry. It's very difficult to get in and try to do it their way and win. You'll never win because some of these businesses are over 200 years. So what advice would you give someone who's just starting out, whether they're in the village or they're in the city, they're really trying, they don't know what they're skilled at, they don't know which path they need to go. All they know is that they need a bit of money, they need to live a good life, they need to join the game, what would you say to them?
Wow. The truth is that we've all been there, and there is some sort of comfort in that, that, okay, if we've all been there and some of us are no longer there, then I can make it too. That's first. You have to believe that. Why not me? Yeah. Why not me? And why not now? So it has to start as an internal, an internal exercise first, that you first believe. Once you believe, you at least have created an opportunity for faith to exist in your life, to have faith that this too is possible. There's something, back in the days of Dragon Ball Z, there's something called instant transmission. You remember that they used to go, and then they'll just be in a different location. Sometimes instant transmissions can happen in our lives, in our careers, or in our, hustles, where we go from playing small and wishing that we were on that table. And in an inexplicable way, boom, we end up there. And when you end up there, will you be prepared to handle all that you have been praying for, all that you've been working for, in that moment, here it is now. And sometimes we have to acknowledge it when it arrives, when everything that you've been wished for arrives, it comes as extra work. It feels like extra stress, more things to manage and so on. But you have to, in a moment, just remember, man, this is everything I prayed for. So let me just rise to the challenge, because it just will always require a better version of you than yesterday's version. But back to that instant transmission thing. When an ant is walking around, and maybe as a kid you used to play with ants, it's walking on that table. That ant is thinking, I'm on this little table now. I'd love to be on this big table here, but it's so far. It sees it as 15,000 little ant steps for it to get from there to here, or maybe 15 million steps, because it looks so far. And it thinks there's no way a little ant like me can ever be on that table in my lifetime. And then here comes little old the Dr. S, and you put your finger there by the table, the little table there, and the ant gets onto your finger. And then you quickly take one step, you come to this table, you put the ant down, and suddenly the ant, wow, it has arrived. So sometimes that's how God can also have an effect on our lives, Suddenly, the things that seemed insurmountable to us, because we've now allowed faith to also be in the picture, and we're saying we're attaching our work with faith, then suddenly things can happen for us faster than what we thought would happen. And once we're there, we have to have then the ability, the mental fortitude, and all of the different qualities we need to cultivate to manage this new set of responsibilities and everything that it comes with, because now we are here. And the way we manage this will determine whether we are elevated again to an even higher place. But there's lots that I feel like I can't always explain. Like I sometimes also look at my life, and I would wake up in my house and I'm like, how did I get here? How does a guy who starts off end up like this? And I'm like, yo, I don't know, And I remember at some point feeling, and I was still on the starting part of the journey. There's a guy called Bongo Khoza. Today he's a top actor, and he's a multi-award winning actor, and one of the biggest. But back then he was still hustling, and he was still an up and coming guy, and he was a nobody. And he had gotten me an opportunity, and I was so excited at this opportunity that he got me. Then I said to him, yo man, it feels like I need to start recording my life. It feels like, hey, this is a movie. And I was still on the start, man. Then he said to me, Weza, this is just the beginning. But I need you to dumb it down to the lowest degree. Make it seem like it is a simple thing that just happened, so that you don't think this is big, because there's bigger things. But if you think this is big, you might not be able to do those bigger things. So dumb it down to the smallest degree, Weza. You're just taking a mic and speaking to some people. That's all it is. Don't think about, it's so big. And he helped me, because that helped me to have a particular way to just always press the reset button. Stay humble, stay calm. There's always going to be a bigger thing than the one that's in front of you right now.
Yeah. Wow. So you speak about capacitation in preparing for opportunities to come. I think a lot of people miss that. They just want to get to the place, but are you ready for the Lamborghini? Are you ready for that mansion?
Comes with a lot of responsibility.
So while they are still waiting, while they are still building and registering their businesses with CIPC, this is time for them to be learning, to be listening to podcasts like this.
Yes, 100%. So there's two things I want to say now that you've said that. One is I listened to podcasts all the time growing up, especially when it was time to level up. I think the biggest difference that got me to where I am faster is realizing that there's knowledge out there that I don't know, and that if I knew, that I would get what those guys get. So how do I do what they do? I need to get into the seminars, but the seminars are 15, 20,000. But I thought, but those seminars are full, and they're full of rich people.
Yeah.
and those people are willing to pay 20,000 to go to that seminar. That means there's something in that seminar that's being said that keeps them where they are.
Yeah.
Then I said to myself, well, if I can't get to the seminar, can I listen to the podcast of the people in the seminar? And as I tried to search, I would find seminars, 1 hour clips or audio clips at least of what was said inside there. Then I'm like, almost this is worth 20,000. It's just that I wasn't physically there. Let me listen to this. I will know what those guys know. And so I will get better. And instead of listening to my piano or hip hop in the car, I'd listen to seminars. It was boring. It was tough, but you learn something. You become better. So podcasts like this matter and you get better because you're learning something, and you are growing something inside you that will eventually change what you're doing. And in those podcasts, one of the things that was said, which is my second point, is if you get R1 million or $1 million, you better become a millionaire fast. Otherwise, you're going to lose it because the money doesn't make you a millionaire. You are a millionaire first and then the money will follow. You could either, if you don't have the millionaire mindset and the millionaire behaviors, then you're going to lose it. You're going to end up on I blew it because you're a 1,000aire or 100aire or a 0aire. You know?
It's not your level.
It's not your level. So when you get the money, you will use it until you get back to your level. But if a millionaire mindset is your level and you don't have the money yet, you're going to make the money until you are a millionaire in the bank as much as you are a millionaire in your mindset and your habits too.
Yeah. Wow. And that just confirms my billionaire status. Cause I've always felt, at times, you're like, I'm far from buying that house or far from buying that car because you're looking at your resources now. And then somebody takes you there. And then you view the house. This is a billionaire's house. You get into the house and you kind of feel like, well, it's okay. It's okay. I think I can stay here. It's not bad. So you get into a car and you don't feel, not because you are trying to downplay it. You feel it. You are like, okay, these are things that I deserve. It's okay. You don't go like, wow, this is crazy. I need to call off my friends. You get on a video call, you're showing everyone, sometimes it gets to show that maybe, at that point, your maturity level when it comes to that, level of wealth is not there yet, and you can hurt yourself when you are not there yet, because at that level, there are people and you don't know how to operate with these people. You are not calm. These people can read you immediately. They come in, they're like, no, this guy is not ready for this. Let's propose this to him. He'll burn his fingers and then we'll take this whole thing away from him, right? Because you are not ready for that. But if you ready yourself before the money and the resources come, when they come, it seems like you have lived that life before and you are still pushing and going forward.
100%.
So, Weza, what's next?
What's next? Okay. What's next for me is, building more platforms. I am trying to, again, do things that are beyond just me. I'm trying to leave a legacy. I want to be those old guys who are sitting in the crowd where the superstars are on stage and they say, if it wasn't for this old guy here, people like us wouldn't be shining the way we are shining. We wouldn't be doing the things that we're doing. He helped shape the industry. He helped do this or that. I'm trying to, live a meaningful life that has a meaningful impact and significance, just try to do things that are beyond just my personal benefit or soul benefit, It must be something that benefits a lot of people and shapes or shifts how things are done. Ultimately, that's my name, Weza means help them to cross something that they can't cross themselves.
Wow. Drops mic. Weza, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Hustle.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.